High in the mountains of one of Asia's poorest countries, farmers are turning a shrub into paper used for Japan's money supply. Most of Asia has gone digital, but Japan still uses yen for nearly half of its transactions. For centuries, it relied on a crop grown at home, until the supply dried up a few decades ago. So it turned to Nepal, where Argeli, a once low-value shrub, grows wild. This new demand from Japan is turning it into a cash crop and revitalizing villages across Nepal.
दुध पुग्यो तपाईको अब त्यसलाई नि विद्युत चाहिन्छ अनि सँगसँगै नेट पनि पुग्यो.
With plastic banknotes on the rise, why are some countries still sticking with paper? And what will happen to Nepal's new big business in a cashless future? Ramesh Rai has been harvesting Argeli for 25 years. For centuries, the shrub was used in Nepal to make paper for government documents and religious texts, but demand abroad was limited. That changed in the 1980s, when Japan experienced a shortage of mitsumata, the plant used to make yen. Supply began declining as harvesters left the trade for other work. Looking for a new source, Kampo Inc., a Japanese paper supplier, discovered Argeli growing abundantly in Nepal and saw it as a potential lifeline for producing yen.
日本が救われると思ったんではないかなと思います。
Like Japan's mitsumata, Nepal's crop is durable and can be harvested every few years, ensuring a steady supply.
र छिटो पनि बढ्छ र ठुलो पनि हुन्छ यहाँ अरु जग्गामा जस्तो मसिनो हुँदैन ठुलो ठुलो हुन्छ यहाँ चाहिँ.
Compost sent specialists to Nepal starting in 2015 to help farmers boost yields and improve the quality of their harvests.
成分の量、あと異物の混入であるとかいうのでかなり厳しい基準がございます。
Kampo taught Nepalese farmers how to steam the bark instead of peeling it raw, so that the outer part would be easier to strip off. They also use new stripping machines to remove the top layer of bark, leaving behind just the inner part used to make paper. A few rounds of soaking the plant makes it easier for workers to peel off the rest of the outer bark by hand.
आराम से करेगा अच्छा करेगा जो अच्छा है वो जाता है जो खराब जो ऐसा है ना ये वाला नहीं जाता ये सब फेंकना पड़ेगा. अच्छा ये इसका ये दाग है जो अच्छा भी नहीं है क्योंकि इधर तिलकोठी है ना ये तिलकोठी का कारण इसका अच्छा नहीं बोलता है.
Workers lay out the bark in the sun. If it's cloudy, it can take 2 days to dry out. This is an important step to prevent mold growth and reduce the weight of the Argeli during transport. When Kampo first started training farmers, Japan rejected 20% of their Argeli. But now,
今はもうほぼ 99% 皆さん永久品で納めていただいております。
Nepal went from producing 30 tons of Argeli in 2012 to 150 tons a year. Ramesh can earn up to $2,800 annually. That's double the amount he used to earn from corn and potatoes. And he can sell his Argeli for 5 times what it was worth before the Japanese market.
मैले कहिले पनि सोचेको थिइनँ जापानमा नेपालदेखि लगेको अल्गेरीले पैसा बन्छ भनेर चाहिँ सोचेको थिइनँ.
The farmer's Argeli passes through ports in Kathmandu and Kolkata, India, before reaching Japan. Japan's National Printing Bureau turns the raw materials into banknote paper. The yen are printed in sheets and given security features like holograms. Machines cut out individual notes. Then they're packaged up. Every year, this mint produces about 3 billion bills for the Bank of Japan. The country has long valued physical currency. Its first copper coins date back to 708. But by the 9th century, metal shortages and counterfeiting pushed the country to trade rice and silk instead. In the 12th century, it adopted Chinese coins, which were widely trusted across East Asia. In the early 1600s, Japan began minting its own gold, silver, and copper coins to stabilize trade and regain control over its economy. By the mid-1800s, after centuries of isolation, it decided it needed a modern currency to keep pace with Western powers like Britain and the US. Japan started printing its yen made with the mitsumata shrub in the 1870s.
That's really the time period when a lot of countries around the world started issuing paper currency. People are starting to organize themselves into what would become nation states.
That's Bill Maurer, who's been studying currency for 25 years.
One of the ways that you advertise your existence as a nation state is through things like a flag or an anthem, but also banknotes, territorial currencies.
In the 20th century, war and bank failures in Japan led many people to keep their savings in cash.
People hold on to cash because of its anonymity, because of its privacy, and also for populations that experienced wartime trauma, because it always works, right? When the electricity goes out or the network goes down, your banknotes are always going to work.
For centuries, paper was the default for banknotes around the world, typically made from cotton and linen. But in 1988, Australia broke the mold, becoming the first country to issue plastic-based bills to combat counterfeiting and extend the life of cash. Over the next several decades, dozens of other countries replaced paper with polymer in their bills.
There's pluses and minuses to each of them. The people who are designing polymer banknotes almost forget that human beings use them, and human beings are forgetful and sloppy, and they're going to run them through the laundry, or they're going to keep them in a wallet in the glove compartment and expose them to extreme heat, and they might melt.
Despite this, plastic banknotes last 2.5 times longer than paper ones. Plastic bills are typically harder to counterfeit thanks to security features like see-through windows, holographic foils, and color-shifting metallic films. But paper notes have security advantages too.
Any kind of note made out of an organic substrate has a particular kind of feel, and that's useful because the way that most cash handlers detect counterfeits is by the touch, not so much by sight.
That feel, along with Japan's long tradition of papermaking, is why the country stayed loyal to paper when it introduced a new banknote in 2024.
And people like it in part because it's part of an artistic heritage.
一つ大きな脱プラスチックが叫ばれてるっていうのもあったかと思うんです。
Most of us who are interested in Japan are talking about these new yen notes, especially these impressive holographic images.
The bills feature 3D holograms and special marks to help the visually impaired.
This area, it has like this friction that you can literally feel.
The new bills are made from Nepal's Argeli.
The whole reason that Argeli was selected is because when you make paper out of the pulp from the bark of that plant, it gives the same kind of touch, it gives the same feel as the traditional paper that they were using in Japan.
Before the yen market reached these villages, many people in this region left home to find work in India or the Middle East. Those who stayed had to trek to faraway markets to sell their goods.
पहिला यहाँ त दुःख हुन्थ्यो अब गाडीको बाटो पनि थिएन अब अहिले चाहिँ अब प्रशस्तै काम गर्न सक्दाखेरि खेती गर्न सक्दाखेरि हुन्छ.
Now with rising demand for Argeli and new roads being funded by the Nepali government, villages are seeing renewed growth.
तर अब म खुसी पनि छु एक प्रकारले किनभने यहाँको मान्छेले रोजगार गर्न पाएको छ. उनीहरूले यहाँ काम गर्दाखेरि सबै परिवारसँग बस्न पाएको छ. खुसी नै छु म पनि त्यसमा चाहिँ.
By growing Argeli exclusively, Ramesh is able to employ about 50 people, the majority of which are locals.
अहिले फाइदा छ, अहिले धेरै हुन्छ अनि काम गर्ने मान्छेहरू पनि पहिला काम गर्न जान्थेन. मैले कास्तर अनि झापातिरको मान्छे लिएर काम गराउँथे. अहिले चाहिँ सबै गाउँकै मान्छेले गर्छ. काम पाएको छ, उनीहरूले पनि गाउँलेहरूले पनि काम पाएको छ. उनीहरू पनि खुसी छ, म पनि खुसी नै छु. मेरो व्यवसाय चलेको छ.
But how long will this boom last if Japan ditches cash? Japan's cashless rate more than tripled over the past decade to about 43% in 2024, and the government aims to raise it to 80%.
心配はネパールの生産者とともに我々も非常に危惧しているポイントであります。
Kampo is working to get Argeli farmers to produce other products for Japan too.
今筆頭でやってますのがわさびです。
Farmers like Tikaram Katiwara say they're ready if the demand for Argeli dips. He's already prioritizing other crops that he can harvest more frequently, like kiwi. But demand for cash probably won't go away completely. Nearly a third of Japan's population is over 65. Older generations grew up in a cash-first economy, and many are still more comfortable with it. And Japan's near-zero interest rates mean bank savings earn almost nothing.
It's very important for a country's security to have a well-functioning cash cycle in case of conflict, trauma, hurricanes, floods, that kind of a thing. So even if it were to become less cash dependent, which I don't think that it would, the central bank is probably still going to encourage people to keep some cash on hand.
日本のためにネパールの方が一生懸命働いていただいて、日本の経済を支えているという現状をもう世界の皆様に私は知っていただきたい。
नेपालीले पैसा त आर्जन गर्न पायो नि त। त्यो एउटा गौरवको विषय हो।
मलाई खुसी नै लाग्छ। अब हामीले गरेको हाम्रो सानो देश, गरिब देश, अब त्यहाँ त्यस्तो अब हरेक कुरामा अगाडि गएको देशले चाहिँ हामीले गरेको खेतीले उनीहरूको पैसा बन्छ भन्दा हामीलाई खुसी नै लाग्छ।